Let's lead out. One down. Good jump. Hey, me and you right here. Let's go.
Two down. Two down.
Let's go. Right here, John. One pitch away. One pitch away.
Hey, I'm Darren, and I'm one of the pastors here at Focus, and I just want to let you know that I love Sundays because I get to come into my favorite place, doing my favorite thing with my favorite people, which is worshiping God with my Focus family. Come on, somebody. I just love it so much, so glad that you are here, and for all of our guests that are here, let me just say, man, we're so blessed to have you. We hope that you experience something that is going to be a little bit fun. We're a little bit loud, but also something that's going to be powerful inside of your life today as well. Before we get into today's message, though, what I want to do is we're actually wrapping up a series that we're in today. Today's the last one, but next week we're starting a brand new series called Meant to Be. Everybody say Meant to Be. Every February, we go through, we take a focus on relationships. It's kind of natural, right? Like February is like the love month, right? Like Valentine's Day that's there. And so we just kind of roll with that and we just focus on relationships during that time. And I just want to highlight that because I think it's going to be a powerful series for anybody. If you're in a relationship, if you want to be in a relationship, if you're like, I don't want to be in a relationship because the last one left me in a bad place. Well, I think this is going to be a powerful series for you because what we're going to do during this is we're going to learn how God meant for our relationships to be. We're in a relationship, so let's actually live it out the way it's meant to be. Can't wait to be able to see you next week. But this week, we're wrapping up this series. We're starting off a brand new year, 2020, come on somebody. And so here at Focus, we just said, if there's ever a year for Focus, it's got to be 2020. Come on, right? Like, we want you to have 2020 vision of the future, vision for what God has for your life. And so we want to be able to help you focus in on what God has for you, the future that He has. Let me ask you this question. As we're starting off a new year and maybe looking at the year, and let me ask you this. Does anybody want to have a successful year this year? Anybody want 2020 to be successful in your life? Come on, right? Like, yes, please. Well, here's the good news that I have for you. That's exactly what God wants for your life as well. God wants you to have the best year you've had. He wants 2020 to be incredibly successful for you. That doesn't mean that it's going to be easy, right? How many of y'all know that a lot of times that the things in this world that are worth anything to us, they take work, right? It takes hard work to be able to get through it. But here's the good news is that I know God wants for this year to be successful for you. And what we've done is we've learned through this series that for us to be able to really live in success, for us to live in what God has for, focus is important, isn't it? It's so important for us to stay focused in what God has for us and what we think that we have for ourselves. I mean, even in our work, right? We have to stay focused to be productive. It helps when you're communicating with somebody, just having a conversation, look at them in the eye and stay focused, instead of being like, squirrel, what's going on, right? Like, staying focused is so important in our lives, isn't it? The first week we found out that the focus is important because if we're distracted, distraction leads to accidents, don't they, right? Right? When you're distracted, it leads to accidents. Well, I didn't mean for that milk to spill all over the place, but I was distracted and my hand just bumped it. Now I got a mess I got to clean up, right? I didn't I didn't realize that my relationship with my son was falling apart, but I was so distracted by all the work that I had to do, and now I've got a mess that I have to clean up right here. When we're distracted, accidents happen. You've got to be able to stay focused on the task at hand. The second week, we found out that, man, our focus is important because our focus truly determines our destiny, doesn't it? Right? Our focus determines our direction, and our direction determines our destination, and our destination, well, that's our destiny. And so our focus determines our destiny. You got to stay focused. Come on, right? This is the year of focus. If you want this year to be successful, you got to stay focused. Last week, we found out focus is so important because what you are focused on is what you will find. What you are focused on is what you will find. If you're a negative person and you're focused on negativity, guess what? You're going to live in a negative world. That's all there is to it. Because I can tell you today that there is negativity to be found in anything and everything. I'd be negative about all y'all, right? Like, that's mean. That's not nice, right? Come on. But what you focus on, that's what you're going to find. Focus is so important for us. And so the question that I've had for you every single week during this series, and what I hope is the question that you are asking yourself for this year and for your life is, where is your focus? Where is your focus? Now, most of us, when we sit there and look at that and how we're truly living our life and the choices that we're making in our life, the focus that we have is that we really want to be able to we want a good life. The focus is on having a good life. Anybody want to have a good life? I want to have a good life, right? Like, good life is good. And I wouldn't really fault you for having a good life. In fact, you could even say, you're acting like that's a negative thing, that I'm focused on a good life. Like, what's wrong with the good life, right? Well, the problem that lies when you're focused on the good life is just simply not good enough. The good life is not good enough. We find something good and we like to enjoy it for a little while, and then the next thing you know, you're like, but I don't like that anymore. I'm ready for the next thing. I'm ready. Anybody ready for a Tesla in their life? Come on, right? Somebody's focused on the good life. That's what you get for being loud. No, but we are like we get focused on the good life and we think, you know what? That's exactly what I want to be able to have. That's going to be amazing. That's going to be wonderful, and it is for a little while, right? And then it's not good enough anymore. Now, I don't know about you, but I could have the most amazing meal that I've ever had in my entire life. That steak, well, how could I cut through that steak with a fork? It's like butter. Anybody ever had that? Like, oh my goodness, that was the best steak I've ever had in my entire life. 4 hours later, I'm hungry again. Because the good life is not good enough. The good life will never satisfy us at all. There are good things to have in this life, but the more that we are focused upon having the good life, the more that we are going to it's going to leave us in a state of wanting. It's not good enough. I love this passage, 2 Corinthians 9:8 says, and God will generously provide all you need. Come on, somebody. I love serving a generous God. Our God is a generous God, and He will provide every single one of your needs. So much so that when you always have everything you need, you're going to always have everything you need. You serve God, you're always going to have everything you need. Even more so, there's going to be plenty left over. Come on now. There's going to be plenty left over to share with other people. The good life is not good enough. It's never going to leave you in a state of feeling fulfilled. It's never going to leave you in a place where you're like, that's enough for me. I'm good. I need nothing else. But when you serve God and your focus is upon Him, guess what? You have more than enough. You have plenty. There is so often we find ourselves living in a state of lack. I can't do this. I can't do that. I don't have time. I don't have the resources. I cannot do it. But when you serve God, I got plenty. How is it that you have so much more time than me? I don't. We all have the exact same amount, right? But I've just learned to be able to have God direct the way that my schedule flows so that there's plenty. There's plenty. So if you're living in a place of lack, the problem that you might have, let me just suggest this, is that your focus might be in the wrong place. Your focus might be on the good life and just trying to get the good life, and the good life is never good enough. But what God has for you is to live in plenty. Come on, somebody. John 10:10. The thief comes to kill, steal, and destroy. But Jesus said, this is the goal that I have for your life. This is the plan that I have for your life, to give you life and give it to you in the full. You're going to be full. You're going to be full. Come on, we love this verse around here because we know that the full right there, the Greek word for that, somebody help me out here. Come on, somebody. Parasos, right? Parasos, the Greek word parasos translated literally means exceedingly and abundantly more. Not lacking, I have more. How much more? Exceedingly more. How much is that? I don't know. It's more than I can handle myself, right? Like, man, God has overflowed. He's overwhelmed me so much with all of this stuff that I think is good that it's overflowing. It's overwhelming me and it's overflowing to the world around me. I got plenty to share with anybody. Whoever comes, that's the life that God has for you. Come on. Don't settle for the good life. Don't have your focus be on the good life. That's why we're during this series believing that 2020 is the year of focus, believing that 2020 is the year for you to focus on Jesus. Come on. Because when you focus on Jesus, you're going to have a successful year. So many people said that they want to have a successful year this year. And I'm here to tell you, to have a successful year, focus on Jesus. All of a sudden, your circumstances, they might not change. Your finances, they might not change. Your job, it might not change. Your relationship, you might still be in the same relationship. You might still be stuck with that person. But all of a sudden, you're going to realize, I'm not stuck with this person. This is the person that I'm meant to be with. Because all of a sudden, you've stopped putting your focus just on the good things and thinking that the good things are not good enough. You put your focus on Jesus, and now all of a sudden, you realize, God has blessed me exceedingly and abundantly more than I could ever imagine. You want to have a successful year this year? Put your focus on Jesus. That's what He has for each and every single one of us. Because He knows that the things of this world will never satisfy us. That the good things of this life are not good enough. That He alone is the one that satisfies us. And not just a satisfaction that is just a little bit more. It is exceedingly and abundantly more. That's the life that Jesus has for you this year. Come on, somebody. Put your focus on Jesus. But we also know this, that God knows this very well, that this world is full of distractions, isn't it? Right? It's full of distractions because the good things are distracting, aren't they? They really are. Like, there's a reason why automobiles are shiny, because they're fantastic. They just really are. Like, I've been watching too much Barrett Jackson. I'm sorry about that. Like, I'm stuck on Chrome right now. That's all that's in my mind, right? Like, because it's distracting. Like, the good things of life are distracting, and they distract us from focusing on Jesus. God knows that. And so what He has done is He's actually, if you read all throughout Scripture, He gives a step-by-step plan to help you when you get distracted to redirect your focus and put it on Him. He knows that the world is distracting, so He gives us an easy step-by-step plan. It is so much easier to follow than IKEA instructions. Come on, right? IKEA instructions, they don't even have words, but this is even easier than that, okay? Like, this is how, so what we've been doing is we've been looking at these steps. God has 4 steps. There's 4 weeks that we've started off, and He's given us these steps. The first step, if you want to have a successful year and you want to focus on Jesus, you got to know Him and follow Him. You got to know God and you need to follow Him. How do you do that? You say yes to Jesus. That's where you start. You just start by, let me help you. Jesus wants to have a relationship with you. He made it so simple. He said, man, I'm standing at the door, knocking on the door of your heart, and I just want you to let me in. You just got to open the door and just say yes to Jesus. That's all. You got to know Him and follow Him. That's step 1. Then He wants you to be able to find some freedom. Come on, somebody. It is for freedom that Christ has set us free, right? Does anybody else, whenever you hear the word freedom, does Mel Gibson and Braveheart run through your head? Every single time, man, I got a blue face and I'm yelling, freedom! Anyway, I'm getting all distracted again talking about focus. Come on, let's go, right? But He wants us to live in freedom. But it's hard for us to live in freedom because what happens is that all of a sudden we've said yes to Jesus, but then there's something that'll happen. There's a problem that we have in life, and we think, well, Jesus is the one that caused my problems, or Jesus didn't come through in the middle of my problems, and so we give up on Him. The reason why we don't find freedom is because we don't have a deep connection. We don't have deep roots. How do you find freedom? I'm going to tell you, you got to have deep roots. You got to have deep connection. So if you want to truly find freedom, you say yes. You say yes to joining a body of believers. You got to have people around you that are going to help you during the middle of those problems. Come on, somebody. We are better together. The second step is you got to find some freedom. The third step is that you got to discover your purpose. Discover the purpose that you have in this life. That is so important for us. Because we live in a culture that forces us to question even who we are. How am I supposed to know my purpose when I don't even know who I am? You find your identity in Christ. I know who I am. I'm a child of God. Come on, somebody, right? I am a son of the Most High. You are a daughter of the Most High. I know who I am, and then I know who He created me to be. You got to discover your purpose. It's so important for us so that we can make sure that we're living a life completely focused on Him. Now, what we've been doing to find out these steps, to walk through these steps, is we've been looking at a story that Jesus told found in Matthew chapter 13. I'm going to read through the whole story, and then we're going to break down the last step that God has for us so that this can be the year of focus for each and every single one of you. Let's go to Matthew 13. Jesus said this, then He told them many things in parables. A parable is a story that Jesus would tell that has a spiritual truth to it. He says, then He told them many things in parables, saying, a farmer went out to sow his seed. And as he was scattering the seed, some fell along the path, and the birds came and ate it up. And it continues on. Some fell on rocky places where it did not have much soil. It sprang up quickly, but the soil was shallow. And when the sun came up, the plants were scorched, and they withered because they had no root. They had no connection, right? Go on to the next one. But then there were other seed, it fell among the thorns, which grew up and choked the plants, right? That's the purpose. They didn't feel like they had a purpose, and they allowed this world to give them a purpose, and the weeds came and choked it out. And still other seed fell on good soil. Come on, somebody. Where it produced a crop 160 or 30 times what was sown. Whoever has ears, let them hear. Whoever has ears this morning, let them hear the spiritual truth that God has for each and every single one of us during this series so that we can have a year of focus and we can be focused on Jesus. The fourth and final step that God has for your life so that you can stay focused upon Him, that you don't have to worry about distractions and you can redirect your focus and put your focus on Jesus. The last step that He has for each and every single one of us is that we need to make a difference. God wants you and created for you to make a difference in this world. Come on, right? Like I don't know about you, but that makes me thankful. God, you placed me here because you loved me enough that I can join with you and I can partner with you to make a difference in this world. Anybody want to make a difference in this world? right? Like I'm thankful that that's a step that God has for us. And that's exactly what he has for each and every single one of us. Every single one of us are intended to make a difference for God. Check out what he says here in 13:8. He said, still other seed fell among good soil where it produced a crop. Come on, right? Like the plant produced a crop. Some of it was for 100, some 60, some 30 times. But whatever it was more than what was sown. More than enough. The good life is not good enough. When you live a life with God, it is more than enough. How much? I don't know, maybe 100 times more. Maybe 60. Maybe 30 for you. But I know this, no matter what the number is, it is more. Come on. The life that God has for you is not just good, it's more. Exceedingly and abundantly more. He explains it again in verse 23. He said, but the seed falling on good soil, it refers to someone who hears the word and understands it. Come on. We hear the word of God. We begin to understand it. We begin to implement it into our lives. We begin to live it out. And when that happens, this is the one who produces a crop yielding 160 or 30 times what was sown. It's so powerful for us. That's the plan that God has for us, is that you were placed here to make a difference. Every single one of us. We were placed here to make a difference for Jesus. But there's distractions that still fall in place for us to focus on this step. There are distractions that come around that get us to a place where we're not producing a crop. See, the distraction that we have when it comes to our faith and the distraction that happens when it comes to living this out, even in this story, is that we can look at this story and the distraction is that we think the purpose of the plant is just simply the survival of the plant. We think that the purpose of our faith is just simply the survival of our faith. I have a personal relationship with Jesus. That's what you should have, right? But then the distraction is that my faith is simply personal. That I need to keep it to myself. Anybody ever heard that? The culture that we live in today? You believe what you believe and I'll believe what I believe, and all paths are going to lead to Rome, right? All paths are going to be able to lead to God. That's the distraction that we have. And so I'm just sitting here. Man, I've said yes to Jesus, and it's hard, isn't it? Isn't it hard? Can we just admit it's hard to follow Jesus? Because I sin. Did anybody sin against God? And that's hard to do. And so it's like, man, I just did good because this week I don't think I sinned as much. They were just little sins. It was just little. They weren't big ones. They were just the little ones, right? Like, so I'm doing good this week. Because the purpose of my faith is just to have a survival of my faith. The purpose of the plant, the purpose of this story, we think is just to be able to have survival of the plant, survival of our own faith. That's the distraction that we have, right? But the focus that God has for us is the purpose of the plant is not the survival of the plant. The purpose of the plant is to produce. Come on, somebody. The purpose of the plant is to produce. Why on earth would a farmer keep sowing seed into the ground if there is no crop to come afterwards? I'll tell you what, if I plant a corn seed and then pops up and there's no corn on it, I'm not going to plant that one again, right? That doesn't make any sense. The purpose of the plant is to continue to produce, reproduce itself. The purpose that God has for each and every single one of us in our faith is to make a difference in the world around us. God has given you a faith so you can make a difference in somebody else's life. Come on. That you can have an impact into maybe somebody in your family. Maybe a friend of yours, maybe a coworker. Maybe just the UPS guy that you happen to be home and he rang the doorbell and you're like, "What's up?" And he's like, "Whoa, hey, usually let me tell you about Jesus." No, that's weird, right? But I don't know how the conversation's going to flow. But the purpose that God has for you, if you've said yes to Him, is to immediately beginning to produce, making a difference in other people. The distraction that we think is that, man, it's all about me. It's all about my faith. But my faith is meant and has an intention of having an impact in somebody else's life. You are here to make a difference in somebody's life. Check out what Jesus says. He said, if you're going to do anything, if you're going to follow any of the commands that I give you, I got 2 of them for you. In fact, if you're going to do any of them, these are the 2 that I've got for you to be able to do. Anybody want to follow Jesus this morning, right? Like, I'm going to follow what He says, and these are the 2 biggest ones that He has for us to be able to follow. Check this out in Matthew 22. Jesus replied, some people were asking Him, what's the greatest commandment? And He replied this, love the Lord your God. Come on, somebody. Just love God. How? With everything inside of you. Your whole heart, your whole soul, your whole mind. May the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be pleasing to you. Come on, what I say and what I think, let it be pleasing to you, O Lord. That's the first thing that you got to do. And then he doesn't just stop at the one. He says, the second is like it. Love your neighbor as yourself. God's purpose for your life is to love the world around you, not just yourself. We get so distracted by thinking this world is all about me and what I've got to be able to do. Well, if I'm not thinking about me, who else is, right? And so it's all about my survival. It's all about my needs. It's all about what I've got to be able to get this. I've got to be able to do that. That's the distraction that we have. But God put us here to make an impact and make a difference in somebody else's life. As we've been going through this series, talking about focus and going through these steps that God has for us, I began to realize that they're incredible tools that God has given us to redirect our focus, right? These are tools that God gives us that when we implement them in our lives, they help us focus. And so I began to think about other tools that we have that help us focus, right? Like glasses. Anybody wear glasses? Anybody supposed to wear glasses, but you're like, I don't want to wear glasses. And you're living a blurry life, right? Glasses, they help us focus, right? How about some other ones I was thinking about? A magnifying glass, help us focus on something that's smaller. Microscope, help us focus on things that we can't even see with the naked eye, right? Like binoculars, telescopes, help us focus on things that are far away, right? And I began to think about all these different tools that we have, that people have invented that help us bring life into focus. And I realized that there's a commonality to all of these things. They're made of glass or some sort of plastic that mimics the glass processor, right? But they all have the same kind of basic material to it. And then I realized something is that just like the tools that God has given us to focus on Him, that we can get distracted and we can take those tools and we can distort them to fit our own purpose. That just like that the tool that we have, this glass that's there that helps us focus in on the world around us, that we can actually take it and manipulate it in a way that it doesn't fulfill the same purpose that we have in front of us. It's really easy to be able to take glass and then all of a sudden, just on one side of it, cover it over with a certain material, maybe even a valuable material. You put just on one side of that glass a thin piece of silver. And all of a sudden, that glass is no longer a window. It changes its purpose, and now it is a mirror. God has designed for us to live in a world where we can focus through a window, but the distraction that we have is that instead I want to live my life focused on a mirror. God has given us tools to help us focus on Him, and we can take those and manipulate them, and instead we put the focus right back on us. I believe that the purpose of the plant is just for the simple survival of the plant. It's just for me. And I'm continually focused simply on my life. And that's not how God wants us to live. The distraction is that I live my life through a mirror, but the focus is I live my life focused on other people. We've got to remove that filter and instead use the window to actually see the world around us. Use the tool that God has for us to love your neighbor as yourself and truly begin to make a difference in other people. Let me just say it as simply as I can. Okay? Your life is better when it's not focused on you. Your life is better when it is not focused on you. You're like, yeah, but I got some problems, and I can't help but see anything but the problems. I've got pain, and I can only see my pain. You want to know who has problems and who has pain? Everybody. Right? Everybody has problems, and everybody experiences pain. You are not alone in this situation. But what happens is that the problems and the pain are magnified when we live a life in a mirror focused upon ourselves. Just a couple months ago, my wife and I went through a kickstart process for us to be able to lose some weight, right? Anybody love going on diets? It's horrible, right? And then we realized, we were like, okay, we signed up for this thing where we were going to do 3 months of being on a diet, and we signed up in October, at the beginning of October. And then I realized, I was like, hold on a second, 3 months is October, November, and December. There is Halloween, there is Thanksgiving, and there's Christmas in the middle of those months. I don't want to be on a diet during this time. That's the dumbest idea I've ever had in my life, right? It was a horrible idea. And let me tell you something. I don't know if anybody's ever gone on a diet in here before, but when you go on a diet, you're hungry. I was hungry. Come on, y'all. Some of you were very nice and kind enough to be able to notice that my wife and I had lost some weight. I really appreciate all that kind of stuff. Let me tell you something. I was hungry. You're like, man, you look good, Pastor. Well, my stomach's not good. I'm hungry right now. You want to know when my hunger was the strongest? When I was just sitting down, doing work, and I was focused upon my hunger. Man, I'm really hungry right now. You know, it would be really good. Some Chick-fil-A would be really good right now. Come on, para sauce. Let's get some Chick-fil-A sauce, right? Like, come on, I'm hungry right now. Oh, you know what? What do we got over in the refrigerator? And I just walk over to the refrigerator and open up the refrigerator door. Look at all that good food that's in there. No, I shouldn't have it. I'll just walk away. And then I'm just sitting there thinking more about being hungry. And the more that I would think about being hungry, the hungrier that I would get. But if I went out and I began to do something, I don't know, whatever it is, I was just busy. I was off doing this and I was off doing that. And all of a sudden, the next thing you know, I'd get home and Jenny's like, well, what'd you have to eat today? Man, I forgot. I didn't realize I was off doing this and doing that, and I didn't even realize I was hungry. You want to be able to stop focusing in on the pain and the problems that you have? Why don't you go ahead and stop looking at them? Your life is better when it's not focused upon yourself. Your pain and your problems are going to become magnified when you continue to just look at yourself. That's not how God intended for you to live. Stop living a life in a mirror and begin to strip away that surface so that you can begin to see the world around you. When you start helping somebody else through your pain is diminished. When you start helping somebody else through their problems, your problems are diminished. It's amazing how that happens. God knows it's amazing, which is why He's given us the purpose to make a difference in other people's lives. Check this out, Philippians chapter 2. It says, do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit. Rather, live this way. This is how we should live, okay? In humility, value others above yourself. not looking to your own interest, not looking at yourself, not through the mirror. Instead, we're going to look through a window. Each of you has the interest of other people. That's how he intends for us to live. How do we do that? We'll go on to verse 5. In relationship with one another. You got to have a relationship with one another. Have the same mindset as Christ Jesus, who being in the very nature God, did not consider equality with God something to be used to his own advantage. Rather, he made himself nothing by taking the very nature of a servant. God was here to serve, not to be served. We are here to serve other people. Get the focus on other people and begin to make a difference in this world. So how do we do that? Man, there are so many ways you could do that. I could go off in so many different directions on how you can make a difference in this world. We can serve our community. Come on, somebody, the color run. We did a great job with that. There's so many different directions that we could go in. But what I want to do instead is I want to focus in on how can you make a difference right here, just at our church, just here at Focus. You can make a difference here at our church in somebody's life in a very powerful way. And so I'm going to give you, seriously, two very simple, practical ideas for you to make a difference every single week and take the focus off of yourself and put the focus on somebody else. These are very, very simple. The very first one, here's how you can make a difference here at our church. Connect with new people. Anybody, it was your first time that you've ever come to church, the first time you ever came to Focus. Anybody was ever new here? Go ahead, right? Like somebody's been, I was new here one time. It was the first day, but I was still new here, right? You're the new guy, the new girl, right? And that's how, that can be kind of weird and kind of awkward. And then you start to get to know people. And then it feels like family, right? It doesn't feel like family when you first come here. I can say that we're a Focus family all you want, but you're like, whatever, man. That's your family, not mine. Until you connect with somebody. Simply connect with somebody. We say that you change lives one smile at a time. So is that how we do that? Is that how we connect with new people? Okay, I'm going to connect with somebody. I'm going to give them a smile and a head nod, right? I just connected with that person, right? No. That's how you connect in the bathroom, right? We ain't going to church in the bathroom. We're going to church in the family room. You connect in the family room. You have conversations with people in the family room. You don't just sit in silence in the family room. You have conversations with people. So here's what we're going to do today. We're going to give you an opportunity to connect with somebody new. Right now. Check this out. Romans 15 says this. So reach out and welcome one another to God's glory. Jesus did it, and now you do it. So we're going to have you do it. So I'm going to ask everybody here, go ahead and stand up. Come on. You're like, what did I get myself into right now? Don't worry, if you're a guest in here and this is awkward, let me tell you, this is awkward for everybody right now. So join the club, all right? So we're gonna take a little awkward moment. Now you stood up. Now here's the next thing that I would ask you to do. I'm going to ask you to go ahead and you got your talk notes, you got your purse, you got your jacket, whatever it is. I want you to go ahead and gather that up, all right? You're all like, this is getting ridiculous now. It was awkward before, now it's really awkward. Because here's what we're going to have you do, how you're going to connect to somebody. You're going to actually move out of your seat. You're all like, this is ridiculous. We have fun here. Come on, let's have fun with it. You're going to move out of your seat and you're going to go say hello to somebody that you've never said hello to before. Because the pastors can't say hello to everybody. You've got to connect to them. You're going to go say hello to somebody that you've never said hello to before. You're going to shake their hand, and then I'm asking you to gather your stuff because here's what you're going to do. You're going to sit next to them as well. You're going to go move next to them, okay? So couples, you don't have to separate or anything like that. You got a husband and wife. You can stay together and go find another husband and wife, whatever it is. But you're going to move around, and you're going to go say hello to somebody and connect with somebody that you never have before. We're all new people in here today. We're all going to be awkward. I tell you what, guys, could we get Can we get a little connection? Can we get a little music to help people move around? We got any? There you go. That's perfect. All right, guys, go ahead, move around. Say hello to somebody you never had before. I love it. We could sit here and do this for a long time. All right, now the people that you found, begin to find a seat together. Begin to sit down next to the people that you were just talking to. Go ahead. Gather in there. Make your way in. That was so much fun. Maybe it was just fun for me. So much fun to be able to see that. Love it so much. So good. So good. Connect with new people. Say hello with new people. Smile at somebody as they're walking in. I'm going to try to gather in here real quick. Here we go. So here's what I want to encourage you to do. When you come into focus, this is like the paying attention side. This is the talkative side over here. I'm going to preach over here. No. So when you're coming into focus, remember this. You're coming to church in the family room. You're not coming to church in the bathroom. You're not just giving a simple smile and a head nod as you're walking by. Say hello to somebody. Connect with somebody that you never have before. And I'm going to tell you, it's going to make a difference. It's going to make a difference in their life. It's going to make a difference in your life as well. You're going to realize that coming to church is not just about you. It's about making connection with other people. The first thing you got to do is you got to connect with somebody. Now, here's the second thing that I want to encourage you to do. After you connect with somebody, you got to build a relationship with them. Build a relationship. Man, we just gave you an opportunity. You just said hello to somebody that you never had before. Now, here's what I want to encourage you to do. Build a relationship with them. Build a relationship. How do you do that? I don't know. Invite them out to lunch after church today. Go to lunch together, right?
I'm available.
Come on, Pastor Frankie. Pastor Frankie wants a free meal. That's what he wants. Build a relationship with them. Maybe you can say to him, you know what? I would love to be able to. You're not going to believe how much fun that we have serving on this part of the dream team together. We have so much fun when we're outside in the parking team and we're just waving at people. We have so much fun in the Move Kids area. You should come back there and be part of it. You know, you have no idea how great our focus group is. I haven't had a chance to connect with you. Do you go to a focus group? You should come to ours. It's fantastic. And you can begin to build a relationship with somebody. Or you could just simply say this. Hey, you want to meet in these seats again next week? I'm going to be here next week. Want to sit next to each other? That'll be fantastic. And you just begin to build a relationship with somebody. That's what God has for us to do. He's meant for us to live in relationship. He's meant for us to find connection. And He's created us to make a difference in this world. Church, would you please stand with me today? How do you make a difference? You make a difference by saying yes. Say yes to connecting with somebody. Say yes to building a relationship with somebody. Say yes to serving on the dream team and have every single week that you come in here not focused upon yourself, but focused upon other people. Let's not live in a world where we're just looking at a mirror. Let's live in a world where we're looking at the world through a window. Let's redirect our focus and put our focus on Jesus. Take each one of these steps, understand them, implement them in your lives, and I'm here today to tell you this, that 2020 will be a successful year for you when you focus upon Jesus. Come on, somebody, can we praise him today? Just let him know how good and faithful he is. Let's go ahead and let's take the focus off of ourselves and put the focus on Jesus today. Can we do that?
Amen.
Can we walk out of here in a victorious way? Can we walk out of here feeling like we have triumphed over something today?
Amen.
You got something for us, Pastor Frankie?
Yeah, I got something good.
Let's go. Come on, church. Anybody ready to worship Jesus today? Let's get excited. If you got a dance in your step, go ahead and let it out. If you got a little shout inside of you, go ahead and let it out. If you're ready to sing with all of your heart, go ahead and let it out.
Always something trying to steal my mood. My crazy thoughts trying to kill my groove.